views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Get ready to experience the truth. Welcome to Truth Talk Radio with your host, Deb Acker. Truth Talk Radio is a hit show that will illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. Unleash your intuitive nature while Deb helps you stop looking outside yourself for value and happiness, break through patterns, and move into your authentic truth at lightning speed. Truth Talk Radio will leave you feeling lighter, help you live with more presence, passion, and clarity, and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Now here's your host, Deb Acker.
Hello, everyone. I'm Deb Acker, and you are listening to Truth Talk on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with me for the next hour as I help you experience the truth, nothing but the truth. Each week on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll have some of the most gifted, inspiring, and unique souls, speakers, and authors helping to move you into more light, love, and, of course, truth. And with that, I want to introduce today's guest. Cheney Weiner is an authority on personal development. He's the founder of the Cheney Institute of Human Potential, an organization dedicated to empowering people worldwide in all 7 areas of life, which include financial, physical, family, mental, spiritual, vocational, and social, by helping them discover their hidden brilliance and uniqueness based on what is most important to them. His work has been featured on Montel Across America with Montel Williams, Hollywood Confidential with Lisa Gibbons, Martha Stewart Living Radio, Hay House Radio, and on hundreds of radio shows throughout the world, inspiring people worldwide. And my experience of Cheney has been how driven and motivated he is around his passion. There is nothing that's going to stop him. So with that, I'd like to welcome Cheney to the show. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Deb. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate you having a show and all that you're doing.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. So I'm so excited to be talking with you today. Can you share your journey with us?
Wow. All righty. Yeah. With me, it started out, I was always into sports. And then I got into fitness and working out as a result of watching the Rocky movie back in 1979. I'm giving age away when I was 14. And that led me down, like I said, to getting into fitness, working out. And the funny thing is, I did it just to play baseball because I love playing baseball. And ultimately what happened was I got cut from the team. There's a whole long story behind that. And the coach who cut me, he made a compliment or he made a comment, and he says, "You have more guts than anyone I've ever seen." And he says, "Try out for the team next year and you'll probably make it." Great. Why didn't I make it that year? But there was something else within that just shifted everything for me. I never went out for the baseball team. I got involved with fitness, and which ultimately led me into what I'm doing today as a human potential specialist. Because the thing was with fitness training, I wanted to help people in the other areas of life besides fitness, such as their financial, their spiritual, their career, or their vocational, and their family, their friendships, and just the different areas of life. So even though I like the fitness end of it, it really wasn't as fulfilling as I really thought it was. And so that's what led me into what I'm doing today, because this allows me to help people in the 7 different areas of life, because they all work together in everyone's lives in some way or another. So it's just interesting how things seem to start off one way and then they just end up going down the path that they really deserve to go, especially when you find out what it is that you love doing. And in my case, I love doing what I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, and I want to ask you, you're talking about things kind of starting off this one way and then kind of going in another direction. Do you have an example of that? Really, obviously you have, you mentioned in terms of personal training in your life, but do you have like what does this look like? Like if, for the audience that's sort of like, they're on this path and they're not sure if they're on the right path. What does that look like?
It will typically look like, and along with that, sound like, because the languaging, even though how can I put it? even though we look for things as signs and we look for, let's say, the tangible, there's also the intangible, and one of those things is the languaging. So for someone, pay attention to your languaging. Are you saying, I should be doing this, I have to be doing this, versus I love doing this, I choose to be doing this, this is what inspires me? It's a big difference in the language, because with that comes a more of a clearer picture of what it is that you love doing. And every single person has something that is true to them, that they love doing, and that inspires them. And that's not going to be something that they have to do, or they're supposed to do, or they must be doing. Look for that language, pay attention to that, and as a result, you get a much, like I said, a clearer picture of the path that you really would love to be going down.
Very, very cool. And you mentioned about being true to ourselves, and that's something that I work with my clients on a lot, and I'm really, really passionate about. How has your quest for truth played out in your journey?
It's interesting that you bring that up, because for me, and well, it's not only for me, but it's the truth in general. And this is something that I didn't realize early on, but the truth really has to do with, as I like to say, seeing both sides of life. And most people, I know I did at a certain point, was always looking for positive, or quote unquote positive. But what about the other side? What about, people searching for happiness, for people to be nice and kind. But what about the other side? What about when those moments of sadness come up? What about when the mean people come into your life? What about when people aren't so cool to you and they're, let's say, cruel to you? Well, how does that serve your life? And it's within those two sides, if you will, is where the truth is found, because every situation has two sides to it. It's a quote-unquote positive, or perceived positive, or perceived negative. So for me, and this is something that took a while for me to really learn as I've gone throughout my life, different situations I've been in, and once I started to see both sides of events, how the things that don't seem to be so great, how they serve my life, all of a sudden, there's not only a transformation, but you really see the truth in things that you really weren't aware of before.
Well, and how do we go, it's like when we're in the midst of it, it feels like, we're like, get me out. I'm ready to get out of here. So how can we begin to shift our approach when something challenging, when something maybe we want to resist or we don't want to happen? How can we start to shift our approach to that?
Well, one thing I like to do, and I show people this in a program I teach, Breakthrough to Achieve, I just have people look for the benefits of what seems to be a down situation. And at first, people are very resistant to that. It's interesting. Can I share a story here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a woman who was in my Breakthrough to Achieve program, and I didn't know this at first, but as I started to work with her, it came out. She graduated Harvard, and she had a degree in education. She had a master's degree, and she was going for her PhD at Harvard. So she undergrad Harvard, master's degree Harvard, and she was going for her PhD. She had all the recommendations. She had the grades, everything. I mean, she had it all. She got turned down. She got rejected, and she was beating herself up over it. She was thinking she was a failure. And I had her ask the question, well, how did this benefit your life? And at first she was a little resistant, but then I had her see, hey, how did getting rejected from Harvard benefit her life? It gave her a chance to take a step back, to reevaluate if that was really true to her. It gave her the opportunity to see that the people who gave her recommendations, that they were more, quote-unquote, human and more a people's person than just a teacher. And it was just things along that line that got her to see that, hey, this wasn't such a bad event. And not only that, but it gave her the opportunity to really see that, hey, maybe the Harvard PhD program isn't for me, and ultimately would lead her down another path. Now, I don't know ultimately what happened, because the program ended, and she really never got back in touch with me. But for that point in time, what appeared to be the thing that was really bothering her, beating her up, or she was beating herself up over it, once she saw the other side of it, she was much more relaxed, and she was much more really focused and in tune with what she really wanted to be doing.
Well, and it is so, it is really, really, truly important to it's like when we're in the midst of that, of that challenge, like recentering ourselves back in the positive, recentering ourselves back in that good so that we can really, start to shift, because our mindset's always, our old conditioning is definitely can be towards the negative. So if we can start to reshift and reprogram our mind towards the positive, that can definitely be very helpful. So you are listening to Truth Talk. I'm your host, Deb Acker. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to explore more with Cheney. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
She musters a smile for his nostalgic tale. Never coming near.
Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light, from author and healer Francine Vale, is available now. Through Francine's life story, we learn how imperative it is to love one another. Once this simple truth is learned, peace on earth will prevail. Song of the Heart is a life lived and a story told for this purpose. To learn more about Francine and her amazing gifts, or to order your copy of the book today, visit angelsandlightbeings.com.
Are you seeking a more deeply connected and fulfilling life? Do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or exhausted? Are you ready to embrace a life filled with more love, connection, and joy? Best of the Month list and 5-star rated on Amazon, Conscious Being by author TJ Woodward will awaken you to your true nature. To learn more about how to get your copy of Conscious Being, visit consciousbeingbook.com today.
The Doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative
What
topics.
are vibes? We often use this word, but did you know vibes can actually be useful and help solve our everyday challenges? Embark on an exciting learning journey with Caitlin Keat, 11-time Visionary Award winner, specialist in vibrational energy, and the creator of Vibes Up. Join Caitlin as she takes you through the world of vibrational therapy and energy healing, with natural solutions for a modern world. Visit vibesup.com to learn more today.
We're back on Truth Talk, and I am your host, Deb Acker. My guest today is Cheney Weiner, and we are talking about truth and exploring various ways to feel appreciated. But before we continue, I want to ensure, Cheney, everyone has your contact info. Can you give this to our listeners, please?
Yes, you can check out www.cheneywiner.com. That's my home site. And for my book, Because This Is Your Life, it's www.becausethisisyyourlife.com. The book's free. It's just pay shipping and handling, and you get a free video series on what it takes to stay focused. So be sure to check that out.
Awesome. So before the break, we were actually talking about these two sides to truth. And I want to kind of focus on, we were talking about it from the positivity, negativity, or positive and negative aspect, but I want to actually take it from a sort of from a little bit of a different approach. When someone is speaking truth, or when they're not speaking truth, can you feel that? How can you tell? How can you tell around that?
Well, that's a great question, and this is where, and I want to bring in, because it's going to tie right in with this, trusting your gut. And it's something I'm sure every person listening knows about, trusting your intuition, your gut. It's right 100% of the time. But the question is, how can someone tell if they're coming from their gut, coming from their intuition, versus it coming from fear? Because it's within there is where you can really sense, and like we're using, how can you sense and pick up the truth? This goes back to what you were saying a minute ago about, and what we were talking about, seeing both sides of life. And when a person is able to see situations as being both, as having as many benefits as there are drawbacks to a particular situation. And the same thing even applies when you're coming across a person. I mean, we've all come across someone who you just got that feeling, I don't know about them. Well, the question is, how can you tell if that's a fear, if it's fear on your part, or if it's the truth? Well, the way you do it is, again, and this is what I really teach, and this is the backbone behind what I do. When you are able to see situations as, like I said, having equal amount of benefits, equal amount of drawbacks, all situations, you're in that quote-unquote balance, if you will, and that's when your intuition is true. That's when you can sense something in someone else that I don't know about them, and you'll know it won't be fear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I always say with intuition too, it's kind of that first feeling, that first thing that kind of comes in within like the first few minutes, right? So it's like if you have time to go up into your mind, or you have time to really process and think, what it is, what am I doing? That's kind of when you're like, you may not be in that intuitive state, but like in the first, just like couple of minutes, that's when you can really, really tune in. So, we were talking about like really tuning in and kind of trusting your gut and stuff. How has your quest for truth impacted your relationships?
Now, when you say relationships, you mean intimate, those type of relationships, or just all relationships?
Feel free to go wherever you want with it.
Well, it's interesting because when you talk relationships, really the whole dynamic's the same thing. It's what we've been talking about here, seeing both sides. It's also understanding what's most important, the things that are most important to you and what's most important to somebody else. Because so many times people want to project what's important to them onto someone else, and it works the other way too. Sometimes people project or want to project onto you what you should, have to, and have got to be doing. So you have that part of it in there as well, and that impacts the relationships. And like I said, seeing things from that two-sided perspective. Now, to answer your question, how it's made a difference in my relationships, because, I have no problem sharing this. I was married, got divorced. In fact, it's 10 years this month, and I learned a lot from that, because one of the things that happened was when we met first, maybe a year and a half or two, everyone was saying, oh, my God, do you guys ever argue? Do you guys ever fight? No, but no one knew what was going on behind closed doors. It really wasn't that bad. But from my end of it, I was looking for that one-sidedness. And when the other side came up, I kind of didn't really want to deal with it. I had enough sense to know, but when you get in that heat of the moment, you don't. And the way it impacted that relationship was, by the time, and I talk about this in my book, by the time I really fully realized what I'm talking about here, the marriage was pretty much over with, and I got a big lesson. So how it impacts my relationships moving forward, I look at things, like I just said, what's most important to someone else, what's most important to me, communicate in terms of that, and also understand that, hey, the person that I'm going to be with in a relationship, they're going to have days that are not going to be so great. They're going to have their down days. Be prepared for that and understand that, hey, I have those too, and care and take the time to care enough to know that, to understand that, and to communicate in that way, and also know when to back off and take a step back.
Well, that's okay. So like truth in relationships is something for me, like that is definitely a big part of my path. And I do find like there's a really common conditioning. You mentioned kind of like what, people not knowing what's really going on behind closed doors, right? And there's a real common programming, common conditioning where we have this need to project or to really seek perfection in our intimate relationships. What advice do you have for our listeners on this?
That's a great question, and something I could talk about for the whole show, but I won't. Just let me say this, because you brought up the word perfection, and I'm sure, I know you're aware of it, and people that are listening to this, and many people go around and say, well, I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect. I disagree with that, because once you reframe what the definition of being perfect is different. See, most people, when they look and say, well, no one's perfect, this goes back to what we were saying before, they see perfection as being one-sided. So someone who's, whenever you have someone who is nice, kind, happy, and all that, well, that's the perfect person. But when the other side shows up, people have a tendency to say, well, they're not perfect. Well, the perfection is there both sides. You, I, and every human being, we're happy and sad. There's times when we're kind. There's times when we're cruel. There's times when we're giving. There's times when we're taking. There's times when we lift ourselves up. There's times when we tear ourselves down. And the perfection is that we have both sides, and both sides serve a purpose. So in terms of dealing, or like you were saying with the relationships, in your relationships, look, I know I keep saying it, look for both sides, because that's the perfection. Because whenever you look for that one side, if someone is going around and looking for a person who's always happy, always nice, always kind, always giving, they're going to be disappointed when the other side shows up. And they'll say, well, that person's not perfect. Well, the perfection is they have both sides. Once you honor that and you really see that and you appreciate that in someone, you have a totally different outlook, and then you know how to communicate in a much more effective manner with that particular person.
Well, and the beauty's in the realness, right? So it's like shifting from this need to like how we project onto just the beauty is in someone being vulnerable and someone being real, and in all of the bits and pieces of them, and not just the perfect pieces. So I want to ask you, because the title of the show is all around appreciation, and I know that you discuss in your book, it's called, you call it the unreasonable authentic you, which has to do with being reasonable versus unreasonable. First of all, when it comes to feeling and being appreciated for who you are, I like for who you are, I know is the most important, part to someone. Can you talk further about this and really how it's involved in really, and how like our, reasonable versus unreasonable is involved in being appreciated for who we are?
Yeah, and what this is really about is the expectations that you have of yourself versus what other people's expectations are of you. And the whole thing there is, you notice, I'm sure you've heard, in fact, you may have even done this, I know I did when I was younger, this whole notion of, well, you've got to go to college, you've got to get a degree, you've got to do this. Well, you've got to. Well, where did that come from? Well, parents, teachers, and other people in your life, because that was their expectations of you. But what happens in those situations when you say, well, the heck with that, that's not what I want to do, and you, quote unquote, go against the system, if you will, or in this case, other people, that's being unreasonable. So this whole idea of being unreasonable is not to be disrespectful, because the thing is, when someone is reasonable, what happens is they have a tendency to give in to what their parents say, to what the family, and to what society expects of them. And when you try and fit in that way into the world at the expense of who you are, you give up who you are, hence that's being reasonable. On the flip side of that, when you say, hey, there's something in my life that I would really love to be doing. There's something about me that's unique, living my truth. That's being unreasonable, and really what it is to go beyond what is expected of you, but in a way that reflects who you really are. But at the same time, it respects others and what's most important to them.
Well, and I was going to ask you, how do we, we're going to have to take a break here in a second, but how do we stop looking outside of ourselves for appreciation?
Well, it starts by looking in spite of yourself and say, hey, what is it about who I am that brings value to the world? What is it about who I am that is worth feeling appreciated about? Because many times people look to the outside and other people aren't going to see you in the same way that you see yourself. But when you have a high self-worth for who you are, and you know that there are things about you that brings value to the world, what is it about who you are, your truth, why you're here, other people will pick up on that. Now, some people are just, there's just some people who just are not going to appreciate you no matter what you do. That's okay, because the bottom line is you're going to always have people in your life that are going to like you and dislike you, praise you and criticize you, so you might as well be who you are, and in the process, don't worry about what other people say about you, because you're going to get that no matter what you do anyway.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you are listening to Truth Talk. I am your host, Deb Acker. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to explore more with Cheney. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm just mad about saffron. Saffron's mad about me. I'm just mad about saffron. She's just mad about me. They call me mellow yellow, quite rightly. They call me mellow yellow, quite rightly. They call me mellow yellow.
Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light, from author and healer Francine Vale, is available now. Through Francine's life story, we learn how imperative it is to love one another. Once this simple truth is learned, peace on earth will prevail. Song of the Heart is a life lived and a story told for this purpose. To learn more about Francine and her amazing gifts, or to order your copy of the book today, visit angelsandlightbeings.com.
Are you seeking a more deeply connected and fulfilling life? Do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or exhausted? Are you ready to embrace a life filled with more love, connection, and joy? Best of the month list and 5-star rated on Amazon, Conscious Being by author TJ Woodward will awaken you to your true nature. To learn more about how to get your copy of Conscious Being, visit consciousbeingbook.com today.
The doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative
What
topics.
are vibes? We often use this word, but did you know vibes can actually be useful and help solve our everyday challenges? Embark on an exciting learning journey with Caitlin Keat, 11-time Visionary Award winner, specialist in vibrational energy, and the creator of Vibes Up. Join Caitlin as she takes you through the world of vibrational therapy and energy healing, with natural solutions for a modern world. Visit vibesup.com to learn more today.
We're back on Truth Talk, and for those just tuning in, I'm here talking with Cheney about the truth of who we are and who we came here to be. And I want to switch gears here for a moment and ask you, Cheney, about your move to Arizona.
Yes, glad you brought this up. I can say a lot about that. No, it's really interesting because I came here, I'm in Scottsdale, and I was here in right after I got married. I had my quote-unquote honeymoon here, and we were going to move here at the end of 98 into 99. Didn't do it. We came back the following year, 99 into 2000, didn't do it. This goes back to what we were talking about before. There was a gut feeling that said, I like the place, but not now. But I filed in the back of my mind, at some point, I'm going to be going there. So life went on, things happened. I was here in 2010. I was visiting, and I started to get that seed that was planted was growing a little more, and it's growing a little more, and I knew at some point I was going to make the move, just wasn't sure when. And sure enough, 3.5 months ago, the gut feeling said, make a move now. So I went with it.
Well, and you're talking about the gut feeling again, and obviously that synchronicity and sort of following this. What do you say to people that, like, they have this really strong desire to do something? Maybe it's like move somewhere different, and then they have all of these, beliefs, things that are kind of stopping them. All of the logic that kind of comes into play as we play in this, in our physical world. What recommendations do you have for them?
The first thing I do is I have them take a step back and just say, okay, just relax, take a step back, and then back to what we were saying before. Look at the situation of, okay, well, this is where I'm at right now. What are the benefits of being here? What are the drawbacks of being here? And then look at, okay, I moved to X place. Say the person wants to move to Arizona. Okay, I moved to Arizona. Well, what are going to be the benefits and drawbacks of living there? Bottom line is, and just using this example, but this is true in any situation that anyone's in, and this is what I have people do, is to look at things from that perspective, because then you'll get that feeling that'll say, okay, this is the move to make. Because like what you were saying during the last segment is that gut feeling is going to come immediately, and it's right all the time. But what happens is, like you were saying, people, they tend to get into their mind, and that's when all havoc breaks loose. So that's why I was saying just a minute ago, take the step back, look at both sides, benefits, drawbacks, to each, because also within that you'll find the truth. You'll find, like if someone's looking to make a move, they'll say, all right, well, here I am, I'm living in, let's say, Chicago, and, what are the benefits of living here? What are the drawbacks of living here? Once they go through that, balance that out, and go, this is the truth of why I'm here, of why I may want to make the move, and then you look at wherever it is that you want to move to, you do the same thing, and then you'll know. It'll hit you, and my recommendation, and what I have people do is go with it, and don't look back.
Well, and how do we, though, overcome that fear that comes up? It's like we have these strong desires in our life around, different areas. And then, that logic or that fear sort of comes into place. And yes, it's definitely about tuning in. But how do we sort of overcome that or open to whatever it's there to show us?
Well, fear is basically a lopsided perception where someone's going to see more drawbacks than benefits. Look for the benefits, look for the upsides of it, and you dissolve the fear, and it's there. The most difficult part of it for someone is for them to just go in and look for it and look for the benefits of it. And what I have people do when I have them do this, because most people, when I take them through this, they have a difficult time doing it. So I say, okay, well, what's your why? What is it? Why do you want to do blank? And once they discover what their why is, and there's always going to be fear there, but then you, like I said, you look for the upside in that, because that's really the key. When someone has a big enough reason why to do something, they'll take the time to do it. In this case, they'll take the time to figure out, well, what are the upsides of that fear? And those benefits is there. It's just getting people to dig, as I like to say, to go within, to get quiet, and to look for them. And when they find them, the transformation or the initial transformation takes place.
Yeah, that's really, the why, I think for a lot of people can really drive them and really, push them through that other side, or really allow them just to kind of move on through to the other side. So, I know we're talking about some of the pieces we've been talking about are around feeling and being appreciated. How does loving yourself, how is that involved in feeling and being appreciated?
Another great question. And just let me start by saying this. Now, I know the people who are listening to your show, and I certainly know you, know that loving yourself isn't the typical, let's just say stereotypical way that I heard growing up of loving yourself, because typically people, when the discussion of loving yourself comes up, people will think, well, that means the person's being conceited, stuck up, they only care about themselves and no one else. But that's not what loving yourself is. Loving yourself is embracing, again, both sides of who you are. It's understanding that, hey, you're a nice person at times, you're a mean person at times. Doesn't mean that you deliberately go out and be mean to someone. There's times where your meanness is going to come into play. In fact, I talk about this in my book, because there were times when growing up when my mother was mean to me, but it served a purpose in my life. That's most likely what has allowed me to do what I'm doing and to realize what I'm sharing with you here today. But from the standpoint of loving yourself, again, it's embracing both sides of who you are and just knowing that, hey, you've got two sides to your nature. And I also talk about in the book about this whole notion of being on 24-hour world TV. If the whole world got to see you 24 hours a day on world TV, and they got to see parts, the other side of who you are, would you have a problem with that? Would it bother you? And I know that's a tough one for people to digest. Obviously, there's no such thing, but it's just to get people to think in terms of, hey, if other people found out about your other side, would you have an issue with that? And if you don't have an issue with it, that's one of the ways that you learn how to love yourself.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Because that kind of moves me into, there's so many different angles of compassion with that, right? Because it's like, like if you were watching someone else on TV for 24 hours, and obviously we're all imperfect individuals. And then you mentioned too, even with sort of these, some of the negative things we heard when we were growing up. How do you move into compassion, for yourself and compassion for others?
Just embracing both sides of your nature and embracing both sides of their nature. I have a quote that I'm pretty sure I came up with this, and that is, we're all the same, but we're different. We're all the same in essence. Every human being, like I said, is happy and sad, at times nice and mean, kind of cruel. We all have those traits. We all have those traits within us. But what's different about each person is how we express them. And because no two people are exactly the same. In fact, my mentor, John DiMartini, he came up with this quote. He said, if any two people are the same, one is unnecessary. So no two people are the same, but knowing how to communicate what's important to you in terms of what's important to someone else, that opens up the lines of communication. It also opens up the line for you to see in others what you have in yourself. Because, I know I can't even begin to tell you how many times growing up I'd say, well, that person's a jerk, he's this, he's dishonest, he's this, he's that. Well, everything I was saying about them, I've done in my life too. They're a reflection of me. And this is the point I'm getting at here, once you see and understand that what you see in others, you have in yourself, that right there is really, in my opinion, the big aha, or the big breakthrough in learning how to love yourself. Because, again, we're all reflections of each other. I know that's a tough one for people to get, but it's so true.
Right. Well, and you're talking about these reflections with other people. How do we begin to reshift our conditioning from this separation from the idea that we are individuals, which we are, and really move into really recognizing the oneness?
Did you say recognizing oneness?
Yeah, the oneness that is.
Well, again, it's Well, let me ask you this. When you say oneness, what exactly do you mean by oneness and how you were saying it?
Well, you're talking about the oneness in terms of seeing yourself in another, and so so really, how do we and we do have to take a break here in just a second, but how do we really move into that into the truth, which is the oneness, really?
The example I'll give, because everyone's done this. Everyone knows someone who they say is dishonest. Well, all right. Well, when next time you say that someone else is dishonest, well, look to see where you were dishonest. Look to see. In fact, it doesn't have to be to someone else. It can be towards yourself. Every person's been dishonest towards themselves. Everybody. And when you're able to realize that, and I can't tell each person where that is, I could just guide them in having them realize that and having them look to see where it is. Because once they just start to discover that, hey, I've done the same thing that I see someone else doing. It's not in the same exact form, the same exact way, but it's in my own unique way. That person really appreciates it more, and they're really more in tune with themselves, oneness. And again, this leads to this whole idea of being able to love themselves because, again, what you see in someone else, positive and negative, you have in you as well. It may not be the same way, but it's going to be in a way that's unique to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is Deb Acker with Truth Talk. We're going to go on a quick break, and when we return, I am going to share my tidbits of truth on feeling appreciated and truth, and we'll finish with the vibration activation. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
When you were young and your heart was an open book, you used to say, live and let live. If this ever-changing world...
What if we really didn't have to die to go to heaven? Are you curious about the afterlife or rebirth? The highly anticipated new book from author Dr. Susan Allison, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven, is available now. Find out how to find guidance and healing in the spirit realms. Order the book today and put it on your must-read list for 2016. Visit drsusanallison.com to learn more.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics.
The 24th Annual WOW Conference, United We Change the World. Featured guests are Dr. Christine Page on Creative Dragon Energy. Dr. Susan Shumsky will show you how to awaken your third eye. And Mira Kelly will present a 2-day intensive workshop on Beyond Past Lives. This February 11th through the 15th. Go to thewowconference.org. That's the WOW conference.org.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Hello, welcome back to Truth Talk. I'm your host, Deb Acker. So in today's final segment, we've been talking a lot about truth, a lot about appreciation. And I, as I was thinking about what I wanted to share in this final segment, the question came to mind. Really, it's like, what if we never needed appreciation for being who we are? And I ask this because it's like, what if you didn't need this because you knew so deeply within yourself that it didn't matter what was projected on the outside, what was outside of you, what others thought, and you just really, really knew it within you, right? So I'm sure you're wondering, the question's coming up. It's like, how do we do this, right? And for me, and Cheney had mentioned this as well, it's really about loving every piece of ourselves. So that includes the parts you perceive to be beautiful and the parts that you perceive not to be so beautiful. The parts that have been rejected, maybe even where you put yourself out there in a way that was uncomfortable or you even felt embarrassed by. It also means loving the parts that, are hurt, and loving that little child that lives within us that has gone through, their version of the war and has come out on the other end stronger and more in their truth and in their power, right? And it's just even the parts that we wish that, that wish that really things could be different, that things were different, and the parts that really haven't been seen, seen and heard, and really just giving them that voice. So with that today, I want to actually do a vibration activation to really activate this part in ourselves, to really step into that appreciation and step into that gratitude and step into that self-love for ourselves. So with that, for those of you guys who are new to this, I'm going to connect you to the light, and I'll walk you through this step by step. And then I'll have you expand that light out 5 feet, 10 feet, and you're going to expand it out all the way to the entire universe. And then I might say something that's like everywhere you don't love yourself. And you want to see that coming out of your body, and you want to just breathe in. I'll give you a positive alternative like love or truth or light. And you can either use that or you can breathe in something else that comes to mind that's positive. So with that, I'll have you close your eyes. And again, as always, if you're driving, do not close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. And you're just going to connect to the light that's 300 feet above our heads. And we naturally do this when we pray. And just seeing, sensing, or feeling that light. And just allowing that liquid light to come down in through your forehead, down past your eyes so that you can see the truth and you can see the truth of how beautiful you are. Down past your ears and nose so that you can really hear your truth. Down past your mouth and into your throat so that you can speak your truth. Down across your shoulders, down past your heart so you can really feel the truth and feel the truth of how loved you are. Down into your hips, down so that you can really stand and ground in your truth, and down into your legs and out through your feet so you can move towards your truth. And connecting into the center of the earth that feels like mother's love, and it's all ooey and gooey and warm and nurturing. And just allowing this liquid light to come back up through your feet, up through your legs, up through your torso, and up through your face. And one more time, just really big liquid light coming down through your face, down across your shoulders, down your torso, down your legs, and out through your feet. And back up through your feet, up through your legs, up through your hips, up through your torso, and up through your face. And last time, just a liquid light shower just coming down through your face, down across your shoulders, down your torso, down your hips, down your legs, and out through your feet. And back up through your feet, up through your legs, up through your torso, and up through your face. And connecting that light from above and below, and just expanding that light from the center of your heart into the room that you're in. So just see that light getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And just expanding that out into the entire building that you're in, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and just open, expanding, and breathing. Good. Open, expanding, and breathing. And seeing that light expanding out past the entire city that you're in, wherever you are located. Just see that light getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and expanding out past the entire state or country that you're in, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And just expanding out past the entire continent that you're on. So just getting super, super, super big, getting bigger, 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 bigger. Expanding out past the entire world, just super, super, super big. Allowing the light just to keep expanding, expanding, expanding. And expanding out past the entire universe, past all the planets. Just see that light expanding, expanding, expanding. And just open, expand, and breathe. Good. Open, expand, and breathe. Good. And just everywhere you don't love yourself, just exhaling that out and just breathing in love. Breathing in the truth of how beautiful you are, breathing in the truth of who you are, and just what a beautiful, lovely, loving being that you are. And just exhaling out everywhere you don't love yourself, and just breathing in love, breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, breathing in truth, breathing in light. And just everywhere you don't think that you're beautiful in some way, everywhere that you want to be critical about yourself, just exhaling that out and just breathing in truth and just breathing in light and breathing in love and breathing in self-love. So just breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, and breathing in self-love. And everywhere you're looking outside of yourself for value, everywhere you're looking outside of yourself for appreciation, just exhaling that out and just breathing in gratitude, breathing in love, breathing in joy, and breathing in gratitude. Breathing in love, breathing in joy, breathing in gratitude, breathing in love, breathing in joy, breathing in gratitude, breathing in love, breathing in joy, breathing in gratitude. And everywhere you don't feel seen or heard, and everywhere you're not giving yourself a voice, just exhaling that out and just breathing in the truth, breathing in the truth of who you are, breathing in value, breathing in worth, breathing in speaking your truth, breathing in value, breathing in worth, breathing in speaking your truth, breathing in value, breathing in worth, breathing in speaking your truth, breathing in value, breathing in worth, breathing in speaking your truth. And just everywhere you've been rejected, everywhere you've rejected yourself, everywhere someone else has rejected you, just exhaling that out and just breathing in that self-love, breathing in that self-love, breathing in that self-love, breathing in that self-love, breathing in that self-love. And just everywhere you want to redo or you're uncomfortable, embarrassed by something that you did or something that you chose, just exhaling that out and just breathing in that perfection, right? Just breathing in that delicious perfection. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's all perfection. It's all happening exactly as it should be. So just breathing in that perfection, breathing in that it's all happening exactly as it should be. And just everywhere you've been hurt somewhere in your life, just exhaling that out and just breathing in light, breathing in self-love, breathing in light, breathing in self-love, and breathing in truth. And the truth is that everything is for our highest good, right? So just breathing in light, breathing in love, breathing in truth, breathing in self-love. And just everywhere you wish things were different and you're not in acceptance, just breathing in that acceptance, breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, and just breathing in that gratitude, just the gratitude for who you are, the gratitude for the person that you're becoming, the gratitude for the actions, steps that you're taking, just breathing in that appreciation, breathing in that gratitude, breathing in that beauty, breathing in how beautiful you are, breathing in that self-love, breathing in the appreciation and gratitude for yourself, and just breathing in light and just breathing in truth and breathing in light and breathing in truth. And with that, I want to thank my guest, Cheney Weiner, for sharing such great information, and I want to thank you all for tuning into Truth Talk. I always love hearing from my audience. If you have a comment on the show or would like to introduce yourself, you can send me a note on the contact page of my website at deboraacker.com. There you can also sign up for my complimentary 30-minute discovery session, as well as my free Living in Your Truth guide. And next week on Truth Talk, we're going to have Kane Shea talking about how we think about our health. There may be some things that you've left out. So in the meantime, I hope you have a great week, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for listening to Truth Talk Radio with your host, Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio every Wednesday at 3 Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com and experience the truth of who you are and who you came here to be. Each week, Deb interviews an inspiring guest and illuminates the truth to a wide range of topics, including love, life, purpose, career, consciousness, and abundance. Welcome to the world of infinite possibilities. For more information about Deb, including how to contact or work with her, visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com. Look forward to seeing you next week for more Truth Talk Radio.